Welcome to another Veracity mini-series. Today I want to show you how you can achieve 4 IP cameras over a legacy COAX, one single COAX. So 2 different ways of doing this. Firstly, we need to take the 4-port POE switch from Veracity, which is the part number VHW-HWPSC4. So it's the camera end, so if you can see that. What this effectively allows us to do is over a single coax, so a legacy system, enables us to transform that into 4 POE ports for static IP cameras. Now that's very, very useful on legacy system takeovers and future expansion. So out of the unit itself, out of the box, sorry, we take the unit, the 4-port, so 4 POE ports there, RJ45s, is a 100 meg connection. You've got an optional 57 volt DC power supply there. So the 57 volt power supply can be plugged into this to give maximum POE delivery. So my suggested route is 57 volt DC power supply into this at the camera end to give maximum POE efficiency and output. But it doesn't have to do that. So you've got your 4 POE connections there. And then you've got your coax connection, which goes back across to your legacy system, on your legacy system. Your 57 volt terminal there, which are recommended, plus your LED indicators, which show you the state of the coax connection, plus your POE side there for your static cameras. So, 2 ways of doing this, POE or non-POE. I'll just hold that up there for the focus. So you can do POE from the local 4-port switch, the connection, or you can do POE over the coax. Interesting. So we'll put this little device on the side. If you use this, the high wire base end, which is a POE enabled unit, what this allows us to do is either connect a 57 volt connection into this unit, which puts POE over the coax to that 4-port switch. So this to this, so POE in here, 57 volt DC, sorry, in here, POE across the coax, POE out. Easy, okay? So single base end, 1 coax, 4 IP cameras, 57 volt input. But this also allows us to put POE input into here. So from a POE switch, we can put POE into here, across the coax, and POE out here. The limitation is if you put POE here, or 57 volt DC here is, you don't get as much POE out here. So my recommendation, in my personal opinion, is to put the 57 volt DC power supply this end where possible. Not always possible, so we can do this configuration, 57 volt DC or POE across here. Very simple. If you don't want to do POE over the actual coax, what we can do is use a standard high wire adapter, so been around for many, many years. Standard Ethernet connection, coax, so your Ethernet to your network, coax here, power it with a 12 volt supply. This the other end, and this must be powered by a 57 volt DC power supply, and that will give you POE out. But it's a much more cost effective solution if you use your high wire this end, coax, powered this end, and then that will give you your 4 ports, static IP with POE, across the coax, back onto your network. So 3 different configurations essentially. This configuration with the 12 volt DC power in this end and then 57 volt this end. You've got this base end unit with the 4-port switch there with a single coax between. So 57 volt DC power supply, POE or 57 volt DC power supply. So there are your different configuration options. We're seeing this becoming really, really popular, and in fact there's also an 8 version of this. So if I go and look at this, there's an 8-port version of this essentially for coaxes, which we'll run through in a separate video. So that's one configuration that enables you to use a legacy coax to expand your system to use up to 4 IP cameras in that setup. Stay tuned, we'll see you for another Veracity mini series very soon.